Homeworthy. Welcome to my home here in Raleigh, North Carolina. I'm Martha Midgette, owner of Martha Midgette Designs. Come on in.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
Hi, I'm Martha Midgette. You are in my home here in Raleigh, North Carolina. I am owner and interior designer of Martha Midgette Designs. We have lived in our home for 7 years. I absolutely love this home. I found it online on a Thursday night. We came and toured it on Friday, and I immediately knew that this was the home we wanted to raise a family in. It's a colonial brick home, and it has ivy growing up the sides, hardwood floors throughout, and it just has so much character and a true traditional home, which is something I absolutely love. I have decorated my home in a way that is very classic and tasteful. I love traditional things and curating items that are meaningful, from travel or family heirlooms, or just pieces that I've found at flea markets or estate sales. My home is also very colorful. I love using color in tasteful ways that really help elevate the space and make it feel inviting and fun. I have always loved interiors. I've always loved how rooms and spaces make you feel. As a child, I remember redecorating my room, asking to move the furniture around. I was very specific that I wanted blue sponge painted walls as a child growing up. And I just remember having an appreciation for furniture and interiors. Furniture is in my blood. My granddad owned one of the first industrial furniture companies out of High Point, North Carolina, and I just grew up appreciating spaces. One of the stories as a child is I went with my mom searching for probably 2 years for a very specific dresser that had a pull-out drawer for a desk. And I remember when we finally found it, that dresser is still in my childhood bedroom and will likely be something that will be passed down to my kids over time, which I really appreciate and care about. Welcome to my piano room. This is probably my favorite room in the house. This is also a wonderful indication of my design style. I love the color in this room. I love how elegant, elevated, and traditional it still feels, while still being playful and fun. When I saw this Cravat Tableau wallpaper, I knew I had to have it. I just love the texture and pattern and colors. The colors you see in the wallpaper are all the colors you will see throughout our home, and the colorway that is in a hint and touch of it in every single room of our space. This is the hero shot to me of our home. I love spending time in this corner. I love coming in on a Saturday morning before the kids and everyone wakes up and just having a cup of coffee. That doesn't happen often, but when it does, it's a respite and a reprieve from relaxing on the weekend. Again, with hosting a lot, there was very intentional seating and purposeful seating. So you have the kidney bean love seat, you also have the bobbin chair, you have the bench that all can be pulled up. These Piper Collection perches are wonderful because they serve the purpose of not only being an ottoman, but it can also be a seating area. And I just love the dimension and the modern touch that this gave, while also complementing the very traditional room. In this room, you will also see a lot of art. This painting is a wonderful conversation starter. This is Jesse. He is a family member of a really good family friend. She was bridesmaid at my wedding. And this is a replica of the original painting. Her family has the original on display, and no one else in their family wanted to put him on their walls. I said I would graciously and gladly take him and keep him safe until someone wanted him back. I'm hoping they don't ever ask for him back, but I'll give it back. But I love the darkness that it has against the wallpaper, that it still feels really dark and moody. and gives that texture, but is light and bright against the wallpaper. He actually was a judge, and this painting used to be on display in the courthouse. And so it's a wonderful story, and I love having him on our walls. We call this our piano room. When my husband found out that there was a family heirloom piano that was going to be passed down to me, he thought it was the most ridiculous thing to have an entire room dedicated to piano, and he bet me that I would not be able to play 3 songs by Christmas that year. I played piano growing up, but it had been a while, and he traveled a lot for work at the time, and I would practice piano every night when he was out of town. And I won that bet. I used the money from the bet, playing my 3 Christmas songs, to purchase the mirror in the living room. This piano has been in our family for 150 years. It started its journey in Wilmington, North Carolina, and made its way all the way up to New York and DC and back. And a funny story about the piano, actually, when the piano was in Montauk, the house was robbed. They did not steal the piano, obviously, because it's way too heavy, but they stole the original bench that went with the piano. And so this is not the original bench, but I love the ball and claw legs that tied in with the piano, and I just love having this. I'm hoping one day both my boys will play piano and that it will get more use than it does now, but I just love the statement it makes. It is a James Holstrom grand parlor piano. Back to the art in the room, these intaglios really make a statement because the white mat has so much depth compared to the intaglios, but I really love how it pops and is a bright contrast to the wallpaper. In designing this room, with the vaulted ceilings, I really wanted to bring your eye up, and with the light fixture, I really felt like it did that. It adds a layer of light with having it on the ceiling, but it also really helps you draw your eye up and appreciate the vaulted ceilings as well. This secretary is the perfect size for the space between the 2 windows. It also adds additional storage for our family. I use this to have all of our letters and stamps and all those type of things. And it's also a great way to still have items on display like a built-in, but not being actual built-ins. This Schumacher fabric, ICAP fabric, really complements the wallpaper with that coral detail that you see popped in throughout the wallpaper, but I love the pattern against the wallpaper pattern, that it complements, yet it's still fun and playful, but it can read timeless and classic. One of the things that I always tell clients and really believe is only bring things into your home that give you meaning, make you feel joy, or are something that you see and you are so excited every time you look at it. That helps add personality to your home. It helps it feel layered and very curated and collected and not like everyone else's home. I also love styling built-ins. When I style built-ins, I think of 3s, groupings of 3s. 3 is very appealing to the eye, that odd number, and almost creating like a triangle of those groupings, so there's height and dimension in that aspect. I also really love using custom cut rugs because they really help define the space and make sure that you are using all aspects of the room very intentionally and purposefully, and I think that's really important in helping space be utilized the best way it can be. Now we're gonna step into my dining room. Welcome to my dining room. This is another wonderful space in our home. As I mentioned, we love hosting, and so having a true dining room was very important to me. When designing this room, I also really wanted the room to feel neutral. I wanted it to feel elegant and elevated, but neutral, because I love creating tablescapes. I typically don't have the same tablescape every time. I love pulling in new flatware, china, glassware, that type of thing. And so I really wanted the room to complement those tablescapes that I design and allowing the table with the room to pop. On my table, you will see this lovely china. This is heirloom china that was gifted to me from my mom. It is very meaningful and sentimental. I love how simple yet elegant it is with the gold details. And the china, this is an example of the china really popping with the Pookie lampshades on our chandelier. This River Reed chandelier also plays into the wallpaper that I selected. This is Schumacher Acanthus wallpaper, and it's actually a vinyl, and vinyl sometimes gets a bad rap, but I loved having this wallpaper with 2 young boys and a dog, and it's very practical for our family. It's also a great colorway that sometimes reads blush and gray and white, and so it really allows this room to all feel cohesive and blend together while also making a statement. And I mentioned earlier, this is the mirror. I love this mirror. I love how it is such a bold and elegant statement, how the gold complements against the wallpaper. And it's also, I love that it's one of those I want to bet, and I purchased this mirror from it. And so it is a super meaningful mirror now as well. And then finally, this piece of art is my first ever estate sale purchases. I bought it in college. I bought it freshman year for $35, and the imperfections in it, I love the colors, and you'll see on the detail on the framing is broken and messed up, but I think that's what gives it character and a quality that you can only find in vintage pieces that have a story. The colors in this also really complement the room with the blush and the greens and the blues, and this piece of art has found a space in every home I've ever lived in, and so I'm really glad that it's living here in our dining room and complementing that traditional feel mixed with the modern abstract art and the modern mirror. So when designing this space, I wanted to create head chairs that were unique and really comfortable, and so I picked this Greek key kind of style. It plays in with the trim of the curtains, and yet still it's a very neutral blush and tan colorway that pulls in and ties in with the room. And then this is a family piece. This is from my mom's side of the family, and it's great for storing things. It also has dings and marks that I feel, over time and being used has stories, and that's really meaningful to me, of being able to have these family heirlooms on display. What I love most about my home is I love the brick exterior, I love the hardwood floors, and what sold us on our home was the backyard. When we first toured our house, we could picture having a family back there playing soccer, planting gardens, and now that we do have a family here, it's really cool to see that kind of come alive. My husband knew when we first toured the house that the built-ins, once he saw those, he knew he was in trouble, and I love having the built-ins in our house. I love being able to display all of the knickknacks that I've collected over the years, all of the meaningful art from trips, and all the pictures of our family. And that's probably one of my favorite aspects of our house is the built-ins. Next, we're gonna walk into my kitchen. Welcome to my kitchen. This is probably the hub of our home and where we spend the most time. As a family with young kids, I love having a round table to be able to gather and pull up chairs and have everyone sit around. This is probably considered one of the first folding tables. It's from the 1850s. There are pins underneath the table where you can pull it out and flip up the top. This would have been in an entryway or a parlor, and it would have been rolled out of the way for hosting, dancing, that type of thing, gathering. We use it oftentimes in that capacity as well because we have pizza picnics every Friday night, and so we put out a picnic table blanket on the floor and have pizza with my kids. And I just love the story behind this table. I love the detailing of the pedestal, and I also love the practicality. This is one of those pieces that I will never get rid of and that I'll always find a home for within my own home. This is an incredible piece of art by an artist, a ceramist, Reese Emery. She makes such gorgeous statement vases, lamps, that type of thing, and I just love the detailing and the ruffles on this vase. Also love the vase and how the flowers are able to fall and feel really organic, and I love the pop of white against the dark table. You have probably seen a lot of cowhide rugs in my home. They are incredible for not only anchoring spaces. I love how this gives a dimension of color against the dark table. They are super durable for kids. They have marks already on them. There's actually a really cool branding mark over here on the cowhide, but I love how it really anchors the space, intentionally knowing that this is our kitchen eating area and how durable it is with kids, and it's very practical. This is an Elizabeth Enders piece of art. I purchased it, I believe, when she was still in college, and this is one of those pieces of art that makes me feel something. For some reason, this always reminds me and brings me back to my great-grandmother's kitchen table, just how bright and colorful and fun it is. And it brings back those memories that I really cherish and care about, and art oftentimes can do that for me. And this is one of those pieces that I love seeing every day, coming into the kitchen, leaving, and it's just that colorful, bright memory for me. In our kitchen, I love the openness of the glass cabinets. It makes the kitchen feel bright and light and not really heavy. It also really helps with clutter of having all your things on display and really making sure that I'm only keeping and putting things up that I appreciate and have meaning and that are I love the pops of color you'll see throughout the cabinets. I have some ginger jars over the microwave, and then a lot of our plates and dishes as well. When updating our kitchen, I chose to paint the island a different color than the outer cabinetry. I wanted to do that to make a statement, but I also wanted to do it so that it felt intentional and that it tied together with the blues you see throughout the rest of the home. Welcome to the living room of my home. This is probably where we spend the most time. It is like the heartbeat of the home, I would say. I intentionally designed this space to have the center be kind of the hub with the furniture, the couch, and the chairs, and then the sides you'll see our bar area, as well as over here all of the storage for my kids' toys. They are oftentimes playing over here with all their cars and Magna-Tiles and Legos, that type of thing. When designing this space, as I mentioned, the built-ins are the statement of this room. They are what sold me on this house. They are what drew me in, and I just love being able to have all of our finds on display. You will see things from travel art. This is my mother's family crest. You will see all details. These ginger jars, all of the blue and white you see throughout our home, were actually vases used at our wedding for the flowers on tables or at the altar, and so they're really meaningful, and I have them clustered throughout. I also love to collect knickknacks. You can always find a spot for little knickknacks, and I just love tucking them into spaces to help decorate and add dimension. One of my favorite things is whenever people come to our house, having them ask me questions about things they see or art or pictures, and that just brings me joy to be able to share those stories with other people. One of the things you also see in our space is that there's multiple different seating areas. We have a very big family, and we also love to host, and so it was very intentional to me to think about that when designing this space. I love being able to pick up pieces of furniture and pull them in for having multiple people sit around, play cards, have drinks, enjoy the fireplace. And so we also pull chairs in from other rooms, and that's very great for having such an open concept and space in this living room, but also making it feel very intimate and intentional with guests. And then this wall is what we took down when we first moved into the house. I knew that this space would really open up and create flow in between our living room and kitchen, and that it would really help with the natural light. And I'm so glad we did, because it creates almost a flow between our deck, living room, and kitchen. In our living room, we painted the walls Fair and Blanc blue-green, and I love how bright and natural it feels, but still adding that hint of color that pulls from our piano room. There are two incredible pieces of art in this space. This is one of my favorites. I call her the lady. I purchased her at an estate sale. I went on a Friday, saw her on the walls, and walked away, and I could not stop thinking about her all weekend. I went back on Sunday, and Sundays typically at estate sales are half price, and she ended up still being there by luck, and she was half price. And I just love how she makes me feel. I love how she creates a statement over our bar area. And I intentionally didn't frame her because I loved seeing the nail heads on the side and just how old and vintage she felt in that way. Another really meaningful piece of art is this commissioned piece by Blythe Quinn. She's a local artist, and the dimension in the abstract paired with the traditional feel of the other pieces of art in this space really drew me in. She was able to add all of the colors you see throughout our home, and it's just so bright and happy on this really big wall, but doesn't feel overpowering. This ottoman is great with kids. We used to actually have a glass coffee table here, but with having two really little busy boys, it was very impractical for the space. This ottoman actually has a funny story behind it. It's a custom ottoman that is upholstered, and I found it on Facebook Marketplace, messaged the lady to purchase it. She let me know that it had actually already sold, and I begged her to please get me in contact with the person who purchased it. She did, and it did not work for the lady that purchased it. Luckily for me, she was willing to sell it to me, and it is perfect for our home. It just has all the colors that we already had in our living room, and it's such a unique shape that it added that dimension I was looking for. And then this also functions as a coffee table and a footrest, and again, additional seating when we're having people over. I love trays. You will see a ton of trays. I believe this room probably has like 7 trays. Trays are great for collecting everything and making it not feel cluttered. It's also great for having things on display, and they're wonderful for hosting. You can never have too many trays for carrying out drinks or cocktails or displaying or having food on a tray, and they really help gather all of your collections. This is what I call my wedding box. It has every memento from our wedding on display in this box. These are actually the shoes I wore walking down the aisle that my parents wrote good luck messages on the sole of my shoes in blue pin, which was my something blue for that day. And it has all the letters and cards people wrote to us, and it's just a really sentimental box and a great way to have everything on display without having it shoved in a corner or in a closet and still looking really tasteful. Another really cool piece up here is this ginger jar. It is incredibly old. I think it's over 100 years old. It's from the Qing Dynasty period, and it is really gorgeous and just unique and not one you can find at a store, which I think is very special. And then finally, this is flowers from my wedding bouquet that we have framed and on display on our built-ins. Up here is a Spanish tile that I had framed. I found it when visiting my sister who lives in Spain, and I had it framed, and I just love all of the colors it brings, the dimension, and it's one of those examples of framing art that's not traditionally art, of taking something that you love and finding a home for it in your space. And so that is a design tip I use, or also use a lot with clients, is finding things you would not typically think of as art and finding a home for it. This painting is actually purchased during COVID. It's from an artist named Pamela Hoffmeister. She did, every day in COVID, she released a new piece of art, and you had to bid on it or almost be the first person to get it. And I bid for many days in a row trying to get one of her pieces because I love them. And I finally got one. And it's so inviting. I love the colors behind it. I also love the depth and dimension of the green and how dark it is. And it just really is complex to me, which is great, and it pops off of our walls. And then finally, another detail I really love about our built-ins is, and I do this a lot with clients, is wallpapering the back of your built-ins. This is a Tebow grass cloth, and I love the texture that it gives, but I also really think it helps your collections pop against the other details of the books and the artwork, and it really adds some warmth to your space when you wallpaper the back of built-ins. This bow front chest is a vintage purchase from an antique festival. I went with my family one weekend and I was on the hunt for the perfect chest to go and anchor this wall, knowing I was going to plan to put a bar. And I just love the wood against all of the white you also see in our living room. And it also is great storage with kids. This has all of our bar area stuff, napkins, and all the additional things, flatware, cups, that type of thing that you would use when hosting. And so it's really nice to just have it here, pop over and grab a drink when we're here hanging out in the living room. This fireplace, again, the built-ins and the fireplace and the mantle, I knew when I saw this it's stunning. I love the brick detail tied in with these medallions you see. And we don't have anywhere else to mount a TV, and so we have the TV mounted over the fireplace. And that just works functionally for our family, but I love that the detail of the fireplace still complements the room and is the original to the room and is stunning in my opinion. Our home comes the most alive when we are hosting. We absolutely love welcoming people into our home that we love. If it's from a dinner party or as simple as the bounce house in the backyard, I really appreciate and care to have people come into our home and be able to show the pride that I have in my home, but also welcome them and be able to make them feel joy and appreciated when they're coming as well. When purchasing this home, I knew I wanted a traditional entryway. I wanted something that I could put a piece of furniture to welcome guests. Typically, guests come through our front door and friends and family come through the side door, but I still wanted to have something that made a statement and felt welcoming. You will see that there is white painted on the entryway all the way through what I call the sun hallway and this corridor of white. That was intentional in wanting the space to feel light and bright, but again, I still wanted it to feel fun and defined and unique. And so I painted the ceiling this purple mauve color that gives off a hint of purple sometimes. It can read gray. And the ceiling paint color really ties in with the entryway stair runner I have and the Ushak rug. You will also see these incredible visual comfort light fixtures. They're a wonderful modern yet traditional mix. I also really love brass and gold metal finishes. You will see those throughout my home. Speaking of that piece of furniture, back to I wanted to create a statement in my entryway. This is a custom lacquered piece from Rail & Style, and it ties in with the fair and ball blue-green that you see in the living room, hinting at those two colors and really making it feel cohesive throughout the home. On my walls, you will see these incredible butterfly prints. They're actually pages from a textbook that I found when visiting my sister in Spain. They were a flea market find that I was negotiating with the gentleman, thought walking away would enhance my buying power. It did not. I ended up going back and purchasing them. I initially purchased them thinking I would use them for a client project, but I fell in love with them and I love the story behind them and knew I needed to frame them. They give off a wonderful pop of color on the white walls, and they also help make the space feel really elevated and intentional. And then tying in with the butterfly of the walls, there's this gorgeous garden painting by Sarah Gordon. It is very whimsical and beautiful to me, and I just love how the nature elements of the butterflies feeling really traditional, and Sarah Gordon's modern touches of this piece of art tie the spaces together. Welcome to my primary bedroom. When designing this space, I wanted it to feel welcoming, calming, and like a hotel. For me, that really started with the bedding. I wanted it to be white, comfortable, and cozy. In my accent pillows, you will see the colors that you've seen throughout our home. The Schumacher fabric is what ties it all together, and then pulls in the grays that you see from the headboard all the way to the X benches. Again, are another example of threes for me. I love having 3 Euro shams, and then this bolster tied in with the standard pillows creates that dimension of 3. This bolster is by a Little Design Company. It is a gray antelope bolster, and I just love how it pulls together all of the blues and grays throughout the room, yet still feeling very simple and elevated with the box trim and the pleated flange. Our bed does not have a footboard. That was intentional. I wanted the X benches to pull the headboard and the benches together. These X benches are great for sitting on and putting on your shoes, or also just draping clothes. With our kids, they use it almost like a step stool to climb up and get in bed. This lacquered side table, I wanted it to be a clean white side table to complement the dresser furniture you see on the other side. This dresser is really meaningful to me. Was my granddad's, the one that owned the industrial furniture company, and I love the dark wood. While it wouldn't be a traditional bedside table, it really works well in this space and also functions with all of the storage as well. This piece of furniture, this vanity, has been with me since college. It's seen a number of different updates, but I love the scalloping of the dresser, complemented by the Coley Home modern swivel, that it really is a great space to sit in the morning and have coffee and put on my makeup every morning. And I love that fits perfectly in this corner. Going back to having custom cut rugs, this room is a great example of where custom cut rugs make a difference. This side of the room has an odd shape, and so being able to have the rug really take up the proper space and still have the vanity anchored in the room on the rug. This is a great use of showing why custom cut rugs really help you utilize the full room and space that you have available to you. And then this credenza is another gorgeous lacquered piece. This functions as my dresser, as well as storing pieces of jewelry or sentimental items as well. And I just love how it offers a statement with the art anchoring it on this wall. So, as I mentioned, ginger jars are meaningful to me. This is the double happiness jar. It actually means wedded bliss, and on the sides, the dots means many children. They are sprinkled throughout our home. This is an example where I'm actually using the ginger jar for a purpose of storing my necklaces, but it also really helps them feel different and elevated from the ginger jars we saw downstairs. And then again, the artwork in my bedroom is composite pictures of my kids, their handprints from when they were little, and then more intimate pieces such as our wedding invitation and our program. I always like to hang these more intimate pieces in a bedroom so that they feel like they're for you and for you to look at and appreciate and remember those meaningful times. This mirror is a really cheap $5 flea market find. It has imperfections throughout, terrible spray paint job, but I love that it is in this corner that I'm able to get dressed and use it. And this box has actually been in my family, passed down, and I use it for storage of books and that type of thing here. Next, I'll show you my kids' bedroom. Welcome into my son's bedroom. This is my oldest son's room. This wall feels very blank. It is. That was intentional. Eventually, this space will have 2 twin beds that my son can either share with my other son or have sleepovers, that type of thing as he gets older. But I wanted to create the room where he still had a lot of floor space to be able to play with cars, play superheroes, and really enjoy the room. This room, when designing it, really started for me with this Jordan Conley fabric. We have a yellow lab, and so this fabric was able to incorporate the yellow lab and the mallards, which I have a large collection of. This fabric also, while feeling playful, also felt very sophisticated for my son, that it could grow with him over time. And that is an intentional design aspect that I like to incorporate with clients, that it's not something you always have to redesign or redecorate. You can update and have it grow with your family. This crib was my childhood crib, and I just love that my son is able to use it now. The wood really ties in with the wood furniture of the room, and it's still a fun element that I'm able to incorporate and meaningful. And then finally, this storage ottoman is great with kids. It has all of my son's toys in here, but it also functions again as a step stool for him to be able to get up into the big boy bed by himself. And so that's an aspect that he really loves and I love as well. And then this piece is by an artist, Javier Minda. He sculpts together grass to make animals, and this is a bull. And so this again is something from travels that I brought home and able to have on display here, that it just brings me back memories, and I love that it's a fun touch in this room. On the way to my kids' bedrooms, this is our laundry room. It is wonderful having it upstairs, also having it so close to their bedrooms that I'm just able to throw in a load of laundry. I wanted it to be bright, colorful, and elegant in case the doors are ever open when guests come in and see it from the entryway. And so this space really does that for me with the wallpaper and the chandelier. And next, I'd love to show you the nursery. This is the nursery. This is probably the room I've spent the most time in with having 2 young boys. When designing this room, I wanted to create a space that was very calming, that was comfortable, and that I wanted to spend quality time in. For me, the room really started when I found the Tebow Kingdom Parade fabric. And then this book, I Love You Forever, Like You for Always, As Long as I'm Living, My Baby You'll Be. This book is really meaningful. I grew up, my mom reading it to me, and then my husband's mother, Edward Munch, was her professor in college. And so I took the blues from the book, paired with the Kingdom Parade fabric, and really used it as a jumping off point for this room. You'll see that I tied from the fabric the pagoda mirror in to help the space feel cohesive. Also pulled out the elephant in the side table, this wicker side table you see. And I just love how this touch of tan complemented with the bed skirt and all the other details in the room really pull it all together. This art is a commission painting by Laura Higgins. She actually incorporated some of the fabric from the room in the painting, and that to me is just so unique and special, and it's a piece I love and cherish. When creating this space, I picked this ticking stripe wallpaper because I wanted it to be able to grow with my kids. I wanted to have a solid base in the room that other items could just be updated over time. That again was back to this intentional curtain with the trim and neutral, and knowing that eventually if I needed to update the cornice that I could do that. In designing this room, I really wanted to have as much storage as possible. Having kids, you have a lot of stuff, and so the dresser really functions for all of the clothing and items, as well as the dresser or the chest over here functioning as a changing table and offering that for our family. Next, let me show you my office. This is my home office. I love having this dedicated space in our house that I can work on client projects and really be creative in this space. It is intentionally at the front of the house for the natural light, and I just love being able to have the open floor plan again to utilize the space and throw all my fabrics and design schemes on the floor and just really pull from to create the various client rooms that I'm working on at that time. And then for my desk and office, this painting was commissioned by my siblings as a gift by Jennifer Flanagan, and I love how the light blue ties in with the curtains as well as the branding for my company. And this space just brings me so much joy and creativity, and I love being able to have it here in our home. This is our sun hallway. This is also the side door where family and friends come through, and it also connects the back half of our house again with the deck to help with that flow. This is great for, this couch love seat is great for putting on our shoes. Our dog is always hanging out on here during the daytime, and there's so much light in this room that I just really love having it as a space. Welcome to our deck area. Again, this is almost an extension of our home. It's almost like a second living room, having this seating area with the solo stove. It's great for hosting or being out here when my husband's grilling and hanging out, watching the kids play in the playhouse. I designed the deck to have both a living room aspect as well as a dining room aspect. And so we also have this table that can extend for multiple people, and it's wonderful when hosting to be able to pull up the chairs with the solo stove. The backyard is what sold us on this home. We loved how open it felt. We loved how there were different areas. Up here is what we call our garden. We have blueberries, a fig tree, and all of our tomato plants and cucumbers and lettuce for the summertime. And it's great with kids coming up here and planting the garden and also coming up and getting the produce once it's ready. I do not have a green thumb, but I definitely enjoy it. And also in our backyard, there's always something blooming, so I love cutting the gorgeous flowers and using them in vases throughout the home as cut flowers. My home brings me joy. It also puts me at ease. It's one of those, you come home after a long trip and it's just that like deep sigh you get in walking through the door, and just that comfort that, you know, it's not, for me, my home is not something I need to apologize for. It's where I'm most comfortable, and my home truly sees it all. You know, it sees the blood, sweat, and tears that we put into the home, but it also sees the blood, sweat, and tears that we experience as a family. I just love how this home has all the traditional elements of a home with the defined spaces, but it also has the flow of the living room leading into the deck and the kitchen, so it feels like this one big, massive room in the back half of our house. There's no place like home, that saying from Wizard of Oz, and I truly believe that. Homeworthy, thanks for stopping by. It was great welcoming you into my home here in Raleigh, North Carolina. Hope you have a great day.
Thanks for watching. Go to homeworthy.com for exclusive content and shopping guides.